Good morning and welcome back to another Scituate Alumni video. I'm Dominic McCrae and I am joined here with,
Austin DiMatteo.
And Nick Lyon.
and these two are from the band Cavalier. It's a local Rhode Island band. Honestly, I've been listening to your music recently. Amazing. I love the classic rock style, and it's honestly one of my favorite bands now.
Thank you.
Thanks. That means a lot.
Cool.
So we have just a few questions today. I guess we can just get right into it. First one, I'm gonna start off with Nick. Can you touch on your first experience with live music and what really captured the essence of music and kind of gave you that drive at your first Kiss show?
Yeah, so I was probably about 5 years old the first time I went to go experience live music. And my mom and dad had taken my brother and I out to see the band Kiss, and they're like a 80s rock band. And that was a really cool experience. It was like a really formative time, just being in that environment, like experiencing just kind of the excitement in the air and everything. It was really cool. And yeah, the music was fun too. I was a little too young to really understand what was going on and why everybody was so excited, but I just remember being so like encapsulated by that environment. Just really enjoyed being there.
Before that, did you have any like interest in music before?
Yeah, I mean, every once in a while, like something would play on the radio, and my ears would kind of just catch to it. I didn't really know what it was or why, but yeah, I would definitely say that there was some like early interest in music.
Actually, that experience hits kind of close to home because my first concert was Bon Jovi. I think around 8.
Oh man.
Before we continue, would you want to touch on maybe the other members of Cavalier just quickly before?
Yeah, so we have 3 other members. We have a guitarist, Justin Falk, a singer, Jesus Perla, and then our bassist is actually Nick's older brother. And it's kind of funny how we all got together because me and Nick were in high school at Scituate. We were kind of in adjacent, like we were in the same friend group, but we were kind of adjacent to each other a little bit. And then our whole friend group went to Hendricken in high school, and we were like, "Oh, we're the only ones left." So we kind of got together, and then we found like this shared interest in music, and his brother was musical too, and we got all together down the road. Ended up finding Jesus through another mutual friend, and just kind of got together after that.
Yeah, I would say my brother Brandon was kind of like the catalyst in a way, because whatever he was interested in at the time, I kind of clung on to as well, just being like very impressionistic. And so yeah, he got really into music around his like freshman sophomore year, and then Austin I think had a class with Brandon and Anthony. And then
he'd always show up to robotics, like
he would just crash in, right? Yeah, and then I had Austin and I had freshman year science together, and I think one day you were wearing a band T-shirt or something that I recognized, and we just kind of hit it off like day one.
Yeah,
so it was cool.
Yeah,
were there any like did you guys do any of the music classes while you were here, or your brother Brandon?
Yeah, I did band all throughout, and the jazz band, symphonic band, and then you have to do the marching band. I don't know if you still do, but I always hated marching band. Sorry, but yeah, always did that. Always kind of needed to have music, even though I didn't always love band class. In fact, most of the time I hated it, but it was just something that I just couldn't shake from my life.
Shifting to our next question, I saw, listening to all of your songs, that you were mainly the writer of all the lyrics, at least from what Spotify said.
Yeah.
Can you describe, what your songwriting process is, maybe how it takes for you to think of the lyrics?
Yeah, it's definitely changed over the years. I would say it's always a little bit different too. Every song is a little bit different. What we've been doing a lot more the last couple years is really trying to foster this natural group dynamic and come up with the major parts of the song that way. But as far as lyrics, lyrics are tough in the way that they're very easy to overthink. And I think we've all found that some of the best lyrics just come out of nowhere and maybe don't necessarily have a meaning tied to them instantly, but over time, the meaning kind of reveals itself. So I'm definitely drawn to a lot of non sequiturs and just pretty words and combinations of words that become beautiful or something, or and then even if there's no initial meaning, hopefully it comes down the road.
I gotta say, your lyrics do capture that. When listening to it, it does sound very fluent and flows together very well.
Thank you.
Going back to what you said about kind of the style of your music changing, more relevantly, I was listening to your earlier releases, Warden's Pond, and While I Was Sleeping. How did, that shift from more of like I would call it more pop punk kind of, to your more recent album, EP, Cavalier? How it's more of like a more rock.
Generated. 90s. Yeah, Nick, do you want to?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like the most recent release is kind of always where we wanted to go. And then we, at the time when we're writing a song, we're kind of drawing on whatever's influencing us at the time. So I think like musically we were very influenced by certain acts as we progressed, and then kind of we all landed on the same sort of genre at the same time in the same place. And then that was how the EP kind of came about.
Yeah, I would say we're heavily influenced by what we're listening to, like all of us in aggregate. And also we didn't know as much as we knew then. And I think, at least just speaking for myself, I think there was a part of me that was trying to make music with this end goal in mind of what does the listener want to hear. And, even though it wasn't in the forefront of my mind, maybe our mind, I think it had an effect. And with our latest EP, we kind of did what we wanted to do in that moment without any consideration for, are people going to listen to this? And I think we've really just been continuing down that and just refining it. And it's just getting better and better and closer to nature, as I describe it.
Yeah, and I think as well, when we kind of like, as individuals, when we first started writing our parts, at least I know for my perspective, it was kind of always the goal, like, how do I write the most interesting individual part? But then I kind of came to a place where I began to understand more, like, how do I fit in with the dynamic and kind of capture more of like a holistic band experience versus just trying to write like the coolest part from an individual perspective.
Yeah, 100%.
I completely saw that while listening to it, that it was not a simple melody, but on the more simplistic side, but it still collectively was a huge sound.
Yeah,
totally. Some of the best songs of all time are just like super simple, straightforward.
Yeah.
Kind of diving back into the inspirations of your music, being inspired by what you're listening to. What were you kind of listening to during creating that EP? Because I think I have a couple.
A lot
I'd like to hear your guesses first, and then we'll reveal it. Yeah.
Probably.
Listening to it this morning, actually, I had a few ideas of maybe like Alice in Chains. I heard a little bit, and then honestly, I heard a little bit of Pantera.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I've never heard that before. That's cool.
But a more melodic kind of side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say at the time, Alice in Chains was a huge inspiration. We were all listening to a ton of their music, as well as like Smashing Pumpkins,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of
Oasis,
Oasis,
yeah.
Radiohead, just a ton of like
Yeah.
really later 90s rock music, early 2000s.
Yeah.
I think was bleeding in most of the influence.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty heavy. Pretty heavy.
I guess with my Pantera guess, it was more of your like kind of the bass tone of your vocals mixed with like that melodic. It kind of
Oh, yeah.
What song was it? It was Alice, I think I was listening
Oh
to
yeah,
it.
yeah. Alice.
Alice.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. We just
And,
spelled it all crazy.
And it kind of gave me Cemetery Gates kind of that's beginning of the melodic.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I'll have to check
dude.
that out. I don't
Yeah.
think I haven't heard that song.
Yeah.
Cemetery Gates.
Kind of diving into the more you guys side and what you do. When did you know that you wanted to become an engineer for electric boat?
Yeah, I honestly didn't ever really know. I basically the progression of how things happened where I graduated high school. I kind of knew like I was going to go to college to try to get a job or start a career. And then it's actually funny, the reason I even picked engineering in the first place, I didn't know what I was going to study coming out of high school. And I had a calculus teacher here actually who I was talking to. And she had told me, you know, you're pretty good at math and you're pretty good at science, so maybe you should consider going into engineering. And those were definitely the two classes that interested me quite the most. So I ended up just kind of on a whim picking mechanical engineering as a path of study. And it honestly, it was kind of a shot in the dark, but it worked out. I graduated college in 2019 with my bachelor's degree. I started my career actually doing small parts jewelry manufacturing, like new product design. And then, yeah, one thing led to another. I kind of was just looking around after a couple of years, and that's when I applied to Electric Boat, and they took me on, and it was a great opportunity at the time. So, yeah, I've been there for about 2 years now, and things just kind of seem to like work themselves out in a way, you know, when you're not worried too much about the future. So.
I don't know if well you guys were here, but now they have a kind of like a program that it helps with students trying to look into electric boat.
Oh yeah.
They actually like come down and you can get to talk to different people working there.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I've seen there's like a lot more technical programs than I remember there being when we were around.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
You guys have a gym now? So.
Oh yeah, we have a weight room downstairs.
Very cool. Very cool.
We got out at the wrong time.
I know. I know.
Just missed it. Now over to you, Austin. What made you decide to pursue being a financial analysis? And if you have any advice we have a lot of business students here, like you heard Mr. Blue saying.
Yeah.
DECA students.
Okay. So that was okay. It's funny. I mean, honestly, Mr. Blue kind of got me into it. But I was having similar conversations, I guess maybe with teachers or just advisors and mentors, and like, you know, I'm thinking, okay, I'm good at math and science a little bit, but I didn't really have an interest. And then I took Mr. Blue's class on economics, and I started to think, if I don't know what I want to do for work, the goal of every job is to make money. So why don't I just learn about money?
Good philosophy.
It just kind of made sense. I'm like, I don't know what I want to do, so I'll just learn about that. But I ended up falling in love with it. I went to URI and for finance, and I don't know. I never looked back. I was working as an accountant, or entry level accountant type out of college, and did not like it at all. Kind of had an existential crisis. I'm like, what am I doing? And ended up just I ended up quitting that job with nothing lined up, and I was just like trying to talk to people, find people in the industry, and ended up having a few good meetings, and found out that Brown is buying a lot of real estate, which I'm also interested in real estate. So they had a job opening in their central budget office, and I jumped in. and we'll see about the real estate angle. That's TBD, but
So there wasn't like a really like a DECA program when you were.
no, there's no.
Kind of continuing with the business side, what do you do to use your knowledge of business with your music?
Yeah, I mean, I think we use it every day, whether we know. I think we all do. I think we all have a really good business sense, and there's something about just working with a small team, like kind of like how you guys are doing right now. You know, and everyone kind of has to pitch in.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of administrative things that we have to do. You know, we're emailing people about shows, and we're trying to maintain and grow connections, and you know, be professional in some sense, but also having fun. And we all, you know, contribute monthly dues to the band, so we don't have to come out of pocket with certain expenses. And you know, so the books have to be transparent to some degree. Like everyone has to see where their money is going. I try to do my best keeping it.
Yeah, we all kind of like found more or less like a role to fit into in terms of like, you know, people handling more of like visual sort of aspects versus like financial aspects and like project management oriented stuff.
How did you guys, you know, you said you mentioned you were in band during high school, and were you also in band?
So I actually jumped around quite a bit. I think originally I started learning how to play the guitar. I did that for a couple of years, and then I swapped over to trumpet. I did that for 1 year. I swapped over to percussion. I was playing the bell set, and then I actually swapped over to chorus, and then from chorus I went over to the like art classes.
Mm-hmm.
The track, I don't know if it still runs the same, but the track was kind of like you either went into music or art classes.
Oh yeah.
You kind of had like those two separate paths.
Mm-hmm.
So I was fortunate to have been able to explore both of those paths a little bit.
So yeah, that kind of ties into the question of like how you guys selected your instruments, in terms of, you know, the band itself. And
Yeah, so I kind of, like I was saying, I kind of started out on guitar and jumped around between some different instruments, but it was actually like, I don't know if you remember the video game like Guitar Hero or Rock Band, where you're kind of playing to like a digital sort of scale, but it was actually funny that the Rock Band video game came out, and it was like everybody just was accustomed to playing the guitar, and it got to a point where like all the instruments were taken and all that was left was drums. So I was like, I guess I'll play that. And then man, it was like the first time you sit down and you hit even just pads with sticks, it's like something kind of just clicked in my brain, and that was kind of what I knew I wanted to do from then on. So that's how I got into playing actual drum set. From there, I would just kind of continue down that path. Got my first drum set, which is actually like an electronic kit, funnily enough. I graduated onto an acoustic kit, and then I've just been, you know, continuing on ever since.
I know for myself as a drummer actually that I started out with just literally air drumming, listening to something.
Yeah, that was a lot of what I was doing too. I think that's actually what kind of like prompted my parents to realize that was like something I was serious about. I remember sitting in the back of the car going out to dinner one night with my parents, and I was probably just sitting there like tapping on my knees to whatever was playing on the radio. My parents were like, "You kind of have a knack for this." And I think at that point I asked that Christmas for a drum set, and they kind of realized, okay, this is something he actually cares about. So yeah, fortunately, thanks to them, my parents were always really cool about letting me play a very loud instrument in the house
and letting us play.
Yeah, and letting us play. Yeah, when we got together and started playing music, actually, we were playing in my basement at my house over in Hope, and yeah, it was always a blessing that they let us do that.
It's always got to be at the drum shots.
Yeah, exactly. Too much breakdown setup time, so it's nice when everybody can just come to you. Yeah.
Now, kind of touching on your times at Scituate, do you have any like fond memories that just always stick out to you whenever you particular high school experience?
Yeah, I would say like just generally speaking, it seems like things have changed quite a bit around here, but it seems kind of like the core identity is still pretty much the same. I haven't actually even been back inside of the high school since we graduated in 2015. So it's been a while, but I would say there's just something about like the element and the dynamic.
The battery just died.
Oh,
No,
shit.
sorry, we had some camera difficulties, but yeah, I was just saying one of my fondest memories of the high school here. I remember our graduating class 2015 was about 115 or so students. So I mean, there's pros and cons to having such a small graduating class, but I really loved the dynamic that it felt like such a close knit family. And people used to say like, "Oh, everybody knows everybody's business," but that's a part of it. But it was just such a close community, and that was probably my fondest memory, just knowing that like everybody had your back, and it was really easy to just be friendly with everybody.
Like I said, that's on the larger side.
Oh,
Now.
it's even smaller
These
now.
days?
Smaller. I don't
Oh.
think I have a class over 100.
Wow,
That
no way.
is wild. That is wild. You guys need to do more broadcasting.
Yeah.
Fond memories at Scituate High School. Honestly, the people, I think, teachers included, especially teachers in a lot of cases. I think, yeah, it's kind of like the spirit of Scituate that I think has always.
Did it die again?
No.
All right, the camera died again during the fond memory question. We had to use a different one, so if you do notice a difference, that is why. But to continue with your question about fondest memory, high school.
Yeah, I would just say it's really the people and kind of the spirit of Scituate High School. I mean, I've had some of the best teachers that I've had in my life here, and they've made a marked difference in my life in a lot of cases. And then I also met this kid, which is good, and some of the friends that I expect to carry with me throughout, hopefully, most of my life, if not all of it. So, yeah, it's had a pretty significant impact on me, and now they have bonus programs, which is
yeah.
great. I heard the robotics is built out.
Yes,
and
we have TSA, which is
TSA.
they go on like competitions for. I'm not
Very cool.
knowledge on this, but yeah, for engineering and stuff like that.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely concur with everything you said. Just the people and the place. There's a special sort of like spirit about this school.
Yeah.
It was just a really formative time. Like, I still think about high school all the time, just reflecting on the experiences I had with friends and teachers and various other people we interacted with.
Yeah, and it's like there was faction and groups of people, but it never felt like, at least to me, that anyone was unapproachable, or it felt like everyone still knew each other and still talked, and like maybe they had their preferred group that they talked to more, but it never felt like it was the jocks and all those typical factions, I guess.
There's still that kind of sense of unity, but still variety.
Yeah,
Like-
exactly.
Like you said, you grew up in Hope, so I'm guessing you kind of went through all elementary school, middle school with all these people, so like you knew each other, but still went into your separate domains.
Yeah.
Kind of going with the teachers, were there any that like really helped you or inspired you or just kind of stood out completely? They're all great, but like kind of.
I feel like our list is going to be like the same. I don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty close. You want to go one for one?
Yeah, I mean, in no particular order.
Yeah, of course. And of course, we're gonna leave out some names by mistake, just from memory. But I mean, just
Mr. Haney.
yeah, Mr. Haney. We really, I think he's retired now. You said.
Yeah. God
Yeah.
rest. He's still alive, but.
He is the girls track coach.
Oh, okay. So he's still around.
Oh, awesome.
In some capacity. That's awesome. yeah, Mr. Wentworth was a great teacher. We had a lot of fun in his class, and that was a great time.
Mr. Ballou.
Mr. Ballou, of course, who was always putting together programs and things like this. I remember my junior year, he ran a antiques and collectibles club, and we were talking about records one day, and I had expressed some interest in just like sort of like analog media and records in particular. And he brought in a record player and gave it to me, and I still use it to this day. I mean,
Wait,
like,
that's crazy. I didn't know it's where you got that.
Yeah, Mr. Blue gave it to me, and almost 10 years later, it still works great.
Remember we all went hunting for bottles behind Manning Field
I do
because
remember
Mr.
that,
Blue
yeah.
told us that there might be something back there.
Yeah, yeah, I do remember that.
You're like digging through the dirt and like
Let's do,
found some
like,
stuff. He wasn't wrong.
Yeah,
He found some stuff.
maybe like 2-3 more teachers each.
Yeah. Miss Vantine, Mr. Rivard, just music side, and then we already said Wentworth. Special, honorable mentions. I think there's just too many, but
Yeah,
Miss Seeger.
Miss Donovan was great. She helped me a lot with just kind of finding my path where I wanted to go. Mr. Peppard was another great teacher. I had a lot of good experiences in his class. Mr. Busquet, who was my advisor for a bit, that was great. I'm sure there's so many others that are just kind of in
Miss
the
Shabbat. Now I'm just
yeah, Miss
naming
Shabbat,
every
who
teacher
now
that
has a
I've had.
different
Oh
last
yeah.
name, right?
Oh yeah. I
don't
forget.
know
Like you
maiden
said,
name.
They're all
Miss
great.
Shabbat.
They're all great.
Yeah, they're all great, and it's cool to see so many of them still around. Like we ran into Mr. Reed when we came in, Mr. Bagley. Those are great classes, great teachers, and it's just great to be back and see everybody, and what feels like kind of the same capacity. Like we've come back and probably seems so much different, but walking through those doors, I felt kind of just like I did back in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting. Like we were saying, we were talking kind of when the camera died, but how Mr. Wentworth kind of helped you out with one of your first designs for merchandise, actually.
Yeah. That was really fun. Like we had no idea what to do. We had never gone through the process before, and we knew Wentworth did his comic book stuff.
Yeah,
like,
his comic strips.
yeah.
We had kept up with a lot of his work,
Yeah.
and so we commissioned him for a design. We kind of just pitched like a really loose idea. I think some of those shirts might still be out there.
Yeah, we
somewhere.
have one or two left. Just like I think we have like one double XL that we never sold, and
Yeah,
it's just
gonna be
sitting.
tough sell, yeah.
No, but it was like, now it's a relic,
Yeah.
It's an antique now.
Yeah, that was really fun. He like recommended we get it printed. His friend happens to own a print shop, and it was really good quality. Oh, I forget the name of the print shop, but it's right in East Greenwich, right near that new the Trap restaurant,
Okay.
like Smithfield line, not
I
East
might know
Greenwich,
what you're
Smithfield
talking
line.
about.
Yeah.
Like Greenville.
Yeah. Anyway, otherwise I'd shout out his company, but
Over
anyway,
there.
it's over
I
there.
know where you're at.
Yeah, that's Wentworth.
Kind of now, how do you get your designs for your merch? We were looking over your website and looking at your shirts and sweatshirts and stuff like that, and you have very interesting designs. Just wondering how you either came up with them or print them.
Yeah, I think every once in a while we kind of know like we're kind of in the market for a new designer. We should kind of try something new. Part of what's really cool about what we get to do is just collaborate with different artists, and it's really nice to be able to share those sort of ideas with the people in our network, and even continue to grow our network in some ways. But yeah, it usually just starts out with a need, and then a concept, and then we kind of just let our people who we commission run with it, and usually we get back to something we really like.
Yeah.
And then we always try to kind of print something new, so it's not just like a t-shirt every time, but we'll do t-shirts, hoodies, all sorts of things. We printed flags in the past,
Yeah.
hats.
tote bags we should do.
Yeah, we got some stuff cooking.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
We'll have
Yeah.
to keep a lookout.
Watch out for Cavalier socks. Those are
socks coming someday. Maybe not soon, but someday.
no, yeah.
Do you guys try to stick to local artists or kind of branch out online? I know it's easy to
some-
do it online.
Yeah, in some cases we've worked with local artists. In some cases we've commissioned people who are out of state that we've just been kind of following their work closely and really appreciate and admire. So that's, whatever capacity we get to work with the people around us is cool. But it is always nice to bring in somebody local for like a commission design.
Yeah.
Then we kind of get to share like that network with each other.
It was cool. Nick is so good at this. I'm like not the best, but he's like, oh, we got to go to this show in Boston. This guy Chris Wilson's gonna be there, his band, and we got to go see him. So I never listened to this band, but I'm like, sure, I'll go. And we ended up going, and Nick is like, we got to talk to him after. So we ended up sitting down, like getting a beer with him, and he was super cool, down to earth, and just it was a great conversation. And then Nick ended up reaching out to him, and he does artwork. Like he's done artwork for like 1 or 2 Grammy nominated artists now, like Turnstile's Grammy nominated. And,
Yeah. Shout out Chris Wilson.
Yeah,
if
shout
you
out
want to
Chris
look
Wilson.
him up, amazing cartoonist and
Yeah.
tattoo artist. But yeah, we kind of just stumbled into him and sparked up a conversation, and sent him an email a couple months later, and fortunately he remembered us, and we got that was where we got our motorcycle design from.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
gonna say that was
So-
one of the designs we were looking at.
yeah. Yeah, it was really cool. And then it's funny, we just kind of built like a whole thing around it. Like we're like, let's do the music video, motorcycle, and let's just make it a whole thing. And then
Yeah, everything kind of just fell into place, like happenstance, just
yeah.
all at once.
And then the song is called Plain Song, which is just like, but it's just funny. I don't know.
So I wanted to ask, kind of basing off of that last part, were there any like points that just throughout your entire music experience and career that like just stand out to you that like it's just your number one memory of just being in a band?
I kind of look back to, we still have so much fun, but I really look back to the days where we started just playing like our instruments in my mom's basement, just having no idea what we were doing or where we were going or really any sense of direction. And just to see how far it's come from that is a really rewarding experience. And just to know that we've been kind of continuously growing and really like gotten to work with so many interesting people and had so many great experiences as a result of doing this together. But yeah, I would say like just everybody coming over like once a week, hanging out in my mom's basement, screwing around in the summer. We go out to get lunch or something, and it was just so much fun. Just very like carefree times.
Yeah, definitely. Just echoing what Nick said, just all the people that we've met and then get to work with, like bringing other people into what you're doing, and other people being interested in you and asking, you to come join them. It's so rewarding. It's so rewarding, and it's frustrating, and it's rewarding, and it's just everything. It's it's just a really good experience. It was also really fun, I think, for me, like when we went on that like weekender in 2019, and we were just like went down to Georgia and like kind of up and down the East Coast, and it was just we were all in this van together the whole time, and it smelled so bad, but all the 1-star hotels and everything, it was just crazy. We all hated each other when we came back, like but yeah, that was a good week too.
I guess that kind of wraps up the time we have. I guess the bell's about to go, but before we end off this video, do you have any closing remarks, maybe a date that you'd like to shout out, or any new releases or something like that?
Well, mostly I'd just like to say thank you guys for having us. This is really cool, and it's awesome to get to come back and talk to some of the students and teachers and just kind of get to be in this sphere again.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
It was great to talk to you guys.
And stay on the lookout. 2 new songs coming out this year. Dates TBD, but there will be some things.
If we get those dates, we will announce them.
All right, cool.
Awesome.
So, I did see. I got a date. I think that you guys have a show April 28th.
Yes, yeah, we do. We do have a date.
Yeah, we'll be playing in Providence at a venue called Alchemy on April 28th.
Yeah.
So that's the next one to look out for
Okay.
the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the interview. And thank you both to Nick and Austin for joining us. It was a great interview, and I really enjoyed talking to you guys. So yeah,
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Likewise.
thank you.